Thanks everybody for being here. Excited, about this week to get back into Big 12 play. We kind of, as we looked at the season, before this thing began, knew how important the first 4 games this year were going to be. It was something we talked a lot about as a team, as a staff. Very proud of the way that we handled them. We've grown a lot. We've still got a lot of growing to do, but at this stage in the game, to be 4-0, to make some of the progress that we've made, see some of these young guys starting to play the way that that we feel like they can, see the team starting to come together is very exciting for us. So, excited to welcome a very good Baylor team coming in at 3-1. Matt Rule's done a tremendous job with that program. They're getting better and better. Obviously, coming back from all the struggles that they've had, you can really see them growing as a program. We obviously had a really tough, exciting game with them down there last year. They're going to bring an explosive offense, I think a much improved defense here to Norman on Saturday. So we're eager to get back into Big 12 play here full time. Excited about our kind of last home game here for a little while, and we'll be looking forward to playing. So we'll go with questions.
On defense, are there other players that you'd like maybe get a chance to get more playing time?
We're just going to play the ones that we think are best. We've been without a few guys here the last few weeks that we're looking forward to getting back. Particularly on the defensive front without Tyree Slott and Q Overton. So hoping to get those guys back soon. They provide some much needed depth that was kind of a strong point coming in with the D line. There's several guys. We want to play Deshaun White more. He's done some really nice things in games. We got to continue to find some ways to play him more. We want to play a few more guys in the secondary, which as we get into Big 12 play, and the styles that we're going to see, obviously going to be a little bit different than what we saw last Saturday. So I think there'll be more opportunities to play those guys and more needs to play them as well. So, I like some of the continuity that we're building with that first group right now. They're playing, when you watch the tape, you go back and see they're starting to do some things, playing off of each other, trusting each other. You see some signs of that group starting to really come together as well. So the guys are going to have to earn it if they want those opportunities.
James.
Lincoln, Army was such a unique offense, and what they did, you're never going to see that until you play them again in 2 years. What do you really take from that game and defensively, and how do you really feel like you played on defense in this game?
The beginning, I would say, was a little like we expected. It took us, especially the first series, the speed of it. You can't simulate all the cut blocks. I mean, and again, just how efficiently they run it. I thought after that, honestly, we settled in. We weren't really surprised by anything after that. We did a great job limiting their throw game. Like I said the other night, probably the biggest disappointment was when we got them in long yardage situations. We didn't convert as many of those defensively as we needed to. Gave up a couple, I think 2 3rd and longs, 1 4th and long, and those were, people. It's hard to understand that 1 or 2 of those changes the entire facet, or offensively scoring on 1 more of those possessions when we had a 7-point lead. If you can get to 2 scores ahead, they can't do what they want to do, and the game just stayed close enough. We were kind of 1 play away the whole day from doing that, and it kept them close, and they were able to kind of to do their game plan, which was to try to get 2 or 3 yards at a time, keep the clock moving, which they give them credit, they did a great job of. But then obviously at the end, the last 2 drives, the most 2 critical drives of the game, we stopped them with turnovers, and we got them in longer situations, and then our pass rush was able to get there and created opportunities for us to turn the ball over.
Go to Jason on the right.
Lincoln, around the country, we've started to see through 4 games with the redshirt rule, a lot of players are announcing that they're transferring in the middle of the season.
Right.
Is that anything you're worried about right now? And secondly, is that turned out to be a bit of an unintended consequence?
It definitely is, and it may be something that as we go forward with this rule, it may be something we need to look at, because that's, I don't know if it's good if you play a game for somebody that you should then be able to go play for somebody else or leave that year. I don't know. Maybe there should be just a stronger penalty potentially. I don't have the answers right now. We're all working through it. There has been some unintended consequences of this rule, and you knew there was going to be. It was a little difficult to predict what all it was going to be, but it's such a big role. I mean, it's a game changer, and it's honestly been, kind of relating to your question, the bigger change in it has not been for the young guys. I mean, the young guys, you kind of have your plan and you work through it, but it's been some of these guys that maybe played as true freshmen, played early in their careers, and now an opportunity to potentially redshirt or transfer or whatever comes up. I think that was something that maybe not everybody anticipated.
Through 4 games, you did have 2 turnovers Saturday, but 4 overall season. Is that any concern in creating turnovers on defense?
Yeah, no, we got to do better. I mean, we do have a lot of 4th down stops. You know, especially in the first couple of games, we had a lot of 4th down stops, which those are turnovers to us. They're the exact same thing. But yeah, no doubt, we've got to get our hands on more balls. You know, we've had a lot of pressure. You know, we've been able to pressure people, and that's where the turnovers have come. So we're going to have to continue to do that. And then we've got to knock some balls loose. You know, that's the one thing you'd say is we haven't created a lot of fumbles yet. So they tend to come in spurts. You know, we've ended the game the last 2 weeks with some, but definitely going to be a point of emphasis for us.
Stay on the right with Bob.
Is there an update with Trey Brown?
Yeah, he was out, had an injury last week, late in the week, kind of an unexpected deal, but expect to have him here going forward.
John Hoover.
Yeah, Lincoln, on scheming for Army, you guys try to be as multiple as you can on defense, show people a lot of looks and make them guess. They didn't have to guess much. Army didn't, because you guys stayed in that base. 2 deep safeties. Was there opportunities, I guess, you know, even on short yardage plays, to roll that safety up, roll that second safety up and put 8 in the box?
Well, when you do, then you leave yourself very susceptible to the throw game, you know, and they're very experienced in what they do, and you see people doing it on tape and really getting hurt with it. And so, you know, we went in with the game plan of that we didn't want to give up the big play, you know, and we felt like that was the right thing to do it. You know, if we thought if we kept them from getting the big chunk plays, that, you know, we would eventually get enough long yardage, and then we knew we'd have to be better there. So it's just a risk and reward that you weigh, and we felt like with, again, such a young defense and so many young guys, and just schematically the challenges they present and the fact you only see them once every 2 or 3 years, we felt like, you know, instead of having 15 different things in, let's make sure our guys know their assignments. Let's make sure we don't give them freebies, and I thought we did a good job of that. Now, are there times where you could come back and say, sure, we wish we would have taken maybe a chance here or there? That's fair to say. I think you always leave any game as any coach saying, you know, that you could have done, which you would have done this better, that better. But the plan we put forth was to get them as many long yardage situations as we can, and not give up chunk plays. And we obviously we did a good job of both. Again, the biggest thing, we need to do better in the long yardage. That was that far and away the biggest negative.
As a follow-up, is it difficult to take risks? I think you didn't have very many tackles for loss early on, several late, but you can't stunt, you can't blitz, you can't do things against that offense because it'll put you in a bad situation. It
does. It's, you know, you feel like you're guessing a little bit, you know, and that's great if you guess right. Everybody yells and hoots and hollers. If you guess wrong, it's 60 yards. And so and again, I think it comes down to, you know, the experience of your players, and then comes down to a scheme that you don't see that often, and then just what's going to be your plan going into it. And again, I think the plan was good. Like I said, if we convert one more of those 3rd or 4th downs defensively and long, it's a different game. Same thing offensively. We had a good game plan to win it. We needed to, and we did win it, but we needed to make one more play on either side of the ball, and we could have got the separation and then probably taken control of the game.
Brandon here in the front.
Yeah, Pleasure was back there to kick off for Sutton, and obviously he went in there. Is Sutton okay? And then I guess the other question is Barnes. He got a lot of playing time, you know, the first couple of games, and he got a little nicked up. Is he back and available?
Yeah, Barnes is good. He's back, fully available. You know, expect that he's going to have some opportunities here going forward. And then Sutton was a little didn't improve quite through the week like we thought he would physically after the Iowa State game. Could have played the other day, but with the the low number of snaps offensively, you know, and then Trey, TJ, Kennedy, and those guys, we were comfortable with them, that we hoped to be able to, you know, maybe buy Sutton some time, which I think we successfully did.
Ryan Abrams.
Lincoln, Kenneth just talked a little bit ago about how much more sore he was after that game on Saturday than normal. One, did you anticipate that before the game, that some of the defenders would be like that? And two, has there been a different plan, and do you worry about that here moving forward this week?
Yeah, no, yeah, you definitely, you know, it's going to be a little bit different game, just because it's like an inside period all day, you know. I mean, so it's no, we anticipated some soreness. We talked about it after the games. The staff talked about it yesterday. We've got a good plan going forward to get ready for Baylor, but we also got to make sure our guys' bodies are, you know, as fresh as they possibly can be. I mean, the one good thing for us is we did not, because of what we saw, we did not play, you know, 20 different defenders, and so we do have some sore guys, but it's not all of them. You know, it's kind of a group of really about 12 or 13 guys that really played a lot of snaps, you know, that are sore, that we'll have to get back, but it'll give us a chance to work some of our other guys that we anticipate playing more as we go forward.
Joey.
Trey Sermon assumed the feature back role the other night. What'd you think of his performance?
I thought he was good. I thought his assignments were good, pass protected well, had some really nice runs. I think he had probably 2 or 3 that he wishes he had back, but I think he's getting better. You know, it's different when you're the one back. You know, for him, even though he played a lot for us last year, he kind of assumed that role as kind of our closer a little bit, and it's different going into a game where, you know, you've seen what's happened for 2 or 3 quarters. You got an idea of what's going on. You've had a chance to kind of settle in, and then to now where you're out there right off the bat and going. So I think even though he's played a lot, I think he's still learning. I think he's still, you know, getting in sync with our offensive line, with Kyler, with what we're wanting to do offensively. But I think he played well, and I think he's close to playing really well.
Eric Bailey.
Kenneth was in here a little while earlier. He talked about Curtis Loff and breaking down film with him during the week. We saw Orlando working with Jamal Brown last year. How big is that for those current players to work with former players to get better?
Yeah, there's a good bond here. You know, that's one of the things that impressed me the most when I first came here in 2015 was, one, how much our former players came back, even when maybe it wasn't convenient for them, and then just establishing relationships with our current players. You know, it's important. You know, the program is important to the guys that have been here, and so just for those guys to just simply be around, it means a ton to us as coaches. It means a lot to our current players. Whether it's those guys talking something schematic with them, or just simply something about their time here, or just any little thing they can do to help, it makes a big difference. I mean, you think about a young offensive lineman, and, you know, Jamal Brown passes you a piece of advice, you're going to listen, or a young back, and Adrian Peterson passes you a piece of advice, or a young D lineman and Gerald McCoy, you know, shoot you a text and, you know, encouraging you or this and that. I mean, it's one of the many things that makes this place very special.
Tyler Palmatier in the far right.
Defensive line depth has sort of, like you mentioned, been an issue with Overton and Tyrese Lott out. Do you expect you'll get Tyrese Lott back this season, and what can you comment on his status at all?
Yeah, no, we definitely expect to get him back, and you know, I think for both those guys, it's going to be here in the near future. So I think we're talking, you know, more days now instead of weeks. So that's a good sign. So I don't think it's anything long term. You know, but just has had kind of a lingering issue that I think we're about to get over the hump with.
Is it a physical issue?
Yes. Yes.
John McKelvey.
You mentioned before the season how many offensive weapons you had. I just wondered how important it is to spread the ball around, because, you know, even against Army, where you only ran 40 plays, it seemed like you did a good job of spreading the ball around.
Yeah, and really, the one was a center play, centering the ball there at the end, so really 39. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, we did a good job with it. I think Kyler's had a good feel for it, you know, about how we want to attack people, you know, and his decision making for the majority of this, you know, first 4 games has been really good. So, yeah, I think we're pretty comfortable with a lot of the weapons that we have. I think some of the new guys, we're still, you know, finding out maybe how we can use them, how they fit in, where they're comfortable, what they can bring to us. But It's been good. It hasn't been just all one guy, you know, here or there. We've had some guys with individual big games, but, you know, a lot of people have touched the ball, and we're going to need them all going forward.
Over to left, George Stoya.
Lincoln, you talked just a minute ago about former players. Baker was back this weekend.
Yeah.
He was actually just named the starter of the Browns. What was it like having him back this weekend, and how much did you get to watch him on Thursday?
Yeah, it was great. I watched him by the time I got home. I saw probably about the time he went in. It was about the time we turned it on. I think maybe I saw Taylor get hurt, and then and obviously I started watching a little bit closer once Baker went in. But yeah, no, it was awesome. He played really well, handled it, you know, really good. Looked like maybe only had one bad decision the whole night, but you know, was decisive, threw the ball well, so I was happy for him. And then, yeah, he had planned to come back all the way along for this game, knowing they had a Thursday night game. So got to see him a little bit on Friday, got to see him a little bit on Saturday, visit with him some. So I know it was good. Our players enjoyed seeing him a little bit, and I know he enjoyed being back, and it was good to spend some time with him. But, yeah, I know he's excited about his opportunity.
John in the back.
Perfect timing. Follow up on Baker. What's more surprising, that he's executing that offense with that level of confidence, or that NFL, I don't know, coaches, players, commentators are surprised at how he's executing that level?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm not surprised that he went in and played like he did. I know that. So, yeah, I mean, I think people have watched him and watched us and really know football. And, you know, some people say, well, this is a college offense, this is a pro offense. I think people that really understand football and you know, what he's done, what we've done here the last few years, you know, knew that he was going to have a pretty good chance to be able to translate it. And it takes a lot of people. You got to have people playing, you know, well around you. You got to have coaches, you know, doing a great job. It takes everybody to be good. So, you know, obviously they're an improved team, and it'll be exciting to watch going forward.
In front.
Buki came in so many expectations. What's these first 4 games been like for him? Do you see him starting to turn that corner?
Yeah, no, he's been eager. You know, he's almost been, I think, at times maybe so eager to make big plays that I think he's having to learn to let the game come to him a little bit right now. He's done a lot of things well. You know, he's fearless. He plays extremely fast, extremely decisive for a young player. You know, and I think he's really just kind of starting to settle in. So the big plays are coming for him. I mean, he's a big play kind of guy. He's going to do some things through the year that'll wow people, and it's just a matter of time there. So the key for him is just like we've talked to him about, is don't try to force it. Just you know, let the game come to you, and then as you continue to grow, the big plays will come. So he's done some really good things, and I think you kind of feel like he's right on the cusp of breaking out and playing really well for us.
Yeah, they were just talking about Baker and him, you know, coming here. As far as recruiting goes, everybody's Joe McCoy, Adrian Peterson. What does a guy like Baker kind of do for you in recruiting? Because you see the recruits on Twitter just kind of gushing over him being there and kind of loving the fact that he was there. What is the expectations and kind of just the overall, I guess, what has he meant for y'all on the recruiting trail?
Yeah, kind of like the question Eric asked. I mean, guys see when they come back that it's part of the culture, it's part of the atmosphere that, you know, every home game you come back to, there's going to be a who's who of guys that you know that have, you know, played here at OU, that have gone on to really successful careers. Maybe they're done playing now, maybe they're not. But it just kind of helps, you know, just show why we're a little bit different. And, you know, that those guys would take time to do that, I know means a lot to everybody, including our recruits. And with some of the new rules now, we're able to, you know, let those guys interact with our recruits a little bit more, which is which has been a positive thing. So, yeah, it's I think more than any one player, and Baker, you know, certainly moves the needle a lot. There's no question, but it's a culture that we've all tried to create and have a hand in creating, but it's something that's been around there for a long time, and it's something we get from parents and from recruits as well. We get more comments about that than you would probably believe. I mean, to see that many guys come back and do it consistently, it shows how important the program is to everybody.
Last week you talked about how well the defense line played against Iowa State. How did they play Saturday? Were you concerned late in the game about the defense getting really tired?
Yeah, no, I was concerned just with some of our depth, especially in the front seven. You know, I was. There was some concern there, and really we just had some guys really just gutted out. I mean, some of those guys played a just obscene number of snaps, you know, especially in a game that's that physical. So I thought we held up pretty good. There's a few times we had to adjust to some of their schemes where they were doubling us, so I thought it took us a little bit to adjust to that, but we did a better job there. I mean, you know, when your linebackers are, you know, combined to make 51 tackles, that means somebody kept them off the linebackers the majority of the day, which when you're playing an option team, I mean, your D-line's not going to have 15 tackles apiece. I mean, that's just schematically not going to happen. So for the most part, I thought we did a good job of keeping them off our backers. A couple of times that we gave up too much push. We got pushed back too far, especially on some of the dive plays when they were doubling us down, that we had to make some adjustments to. But yeah, for being so thin, you know, they fought. I mean, they fought. You know, it wasn't for the way our defensive line's built, it wasn't the most perfect matchup in the world for us, and we knew that. But I thought they fought and made some huge plays at the end.
Okay, go far right, Tyler again.
Lincoln, you guys had on defense some struggles defending Hakeem Butler at Iowa State, and you're about to go on a run where you face Denzel Mims and Jalen Hurd and then Johnston at Texas. How can you guys improve on that or in that area, and is it a tough, without having a big physical receiver, I mean, is there a way you can simulate that in practice at all?
We got some pretty big physical receivers. You know, CD and AD and those guys are pretty big and pretty physical, and they give a lot of people fits. So we've got some good matchups, some good simulation. No doubt. I mean, I think you got to mix up the looks, you know, which will be important for us. I think you got to, you know, I think it's learning again to play within the defense. A lot of times you know, people see a corner giving up a play and they think, well, the corner just didn't have good coverage, you know, and there's a lot of times there's a lot more into it than that, you know, of where your help is defensively, you know, and you know, schematically helping those guys out. Obviously, pass rush is going to be a critical factor in all of that, which that's, you know, an area we feel like that we're going to have some advantages here going forward. So it takes everybody. No doubt the big receivers like that can win on their majority of 50-50 balls are always a tough matchup. But we're used to that in this league, and we're going to have to defend it well and have to do a better job than we did on Butler.
Let's go to Ryan.
Lincoln, Kenneth Mann had a couple of plays that really stand out there in the end of the game on Saturday. How do you assess, though, his overall improvement through 4 games this season?
He's definitely a more complete player. You know, that game probably for him more than any game didn't line up for him, you know, because he's a little bit more of an edge guy, you know, as far as his body type. But he got in there and fought the entire night. And, yeah, he's definitely – he just feel more comfortable with him right now in there every single down, you know, whereas in the past it was, again, kind of like Obo's early years. It was kind of like pass rusher, third down guy, situational guy, 2-minute guy, and then the others was just not quite there yet. But it's there now. I mean, he's been as disruptive in the run game as he has been in the throw game. So I think it's some of that natural progression. And then I think, too, his mentality, his leadership, his maturity, all that has really grown, and that's made him a better player. He's, you know, without a doubt, he's one of our biggest warriors, you know, and that's why he was named the team captain, and the guys really respect him, and I think he's just progressing exactly like we had hoped he would.
Eric?
You said on Saturday, if it came to it again, you'd put Austin in the same situation. Saturday night, he sent out a tweet apologizing, said he let the team down, and just your thoughts on him saying something like that via Twitter or social media.
Yeah, that's. I try not to, you know, we hamstring those guys, you know, in some regards with social media, but I gotta let them be themselves a little bit too, you know, and I don't have a problem with it. You know, he didn't let anybody down. I mean, like I told him that night, he's saved our tail, you know, just throughout his entire career. Again, doing both and all the big kicks he's made, most notably the one he made the week before, you know. So he's going to make a lot more than he's ever going to miss. He's done a lot more good here than he's ever done bad. There's no doubt. So he's I still have the same confidence that I've always had in him, and we'll be in more situations like this as the year goes on, and he'll be ready to perform like he has the majority of his career.
Lincoln, everybody can find the 6'5", 270-pound defensive ends. Everybody can find the guys that can run 4.3. When you're looking for guys, or when you've got them here maybe and you're trying to develop them, and you're looking for other qualities like grittiness, tenacity, toughness, you know, what they have upstairs, how do you find that? How do you cultivate it? How do you make it work for you?
Yeah, finding it's probably the toughest part, just because we're so limited in recruiting on how many times we can see these guys, how much we can contact them. I really think that's where the relationships you build with the high school coaches, with the people in those schools, you know, taking the extra time to ask the extra questions, to spend your time there to really try to get to know these guys. And then I think trusting that, you know what, the talent is a big part of it, but, you know, we can get good enough players here that we got to make sure we're getting the right people here too. Not that you don't take a chance every now and then. Of course you do. You got to do it at the right time. And then I think the development is the culture that we have here, that we've created here. That you feel like, you know, maybe if you got a guy that's on the edge, that you get him in our strength program, you get him around the rest of our players, you get him around our former players, that we can help push them over that hump. And I think we've been able to do that with a lot of kids. So, you know, some of that we're lucky in that what's already been established by the program kind of continues to work for us in that regard.
Thank you.
Tommy McDonald passed away this morning. I don't know if you saw that. What do you know about him? Maybe what's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, no, obviously about his legendary career. I think with Coach Wilkinson, if I'm right. But yeah, one of the you go through the record books, the history books here, you know, list of all the greats that have done it. I mean, he's right at the top or near the top of all of them. So, you know, this is a close family, you know, like we've talked about today with so many of the former guys coming back. And we've always, you know, really wanted to include everybody that was a part of building this program. We wouldn't have all this that we have without those guys. So, yeah, thoughts and prayers with him, with his family, and he'll be very missed.
James Hill.
Lincoln, last year you guys were in a tough battle with Baylor down there. They're improved this year, and some of the same people are back. What do you see out of that club, especially offensively?
Yeah, they're playing well. You know, looks like they played, you know, the two quarterbacks some early. Looks like maybe they've settled in on the Brewer kid a little bit. But, you know, both those guys are playing well. You know, they have one of the best receiving corps in the country. I think the offensive line's improved. You know, they're kind of making the jump, you know, at least what you see on film here through a few games. They're making the jump that you would expect them to make, you know, year two now of a program, and then also with a really good coaching staff over there. So they're getting better. Their talent's starting to build back up. They played a lot of young players last year that you turn on the film this year, and they're heading the right direction. So they're going to be a tough out for anybody.
We've got time for one more, Brandon.
Jalen Hurd, obviously he was at Tennessee whenever y'all played him back in 2015. His switch of position at Baylor, how has he looked on film to you all, and just what do you think of him as a player? Yeah,
he's a talented kid. You know, he's one of those guys, even I guess 3 years ago that was at Tennessee, you know, that caught your eye. So, you know, physically, I mean, he looks great. You know, I'm sure there's a little bit of a learning curve making the move that he has, but I mean, he shows up on tape. You know, those physical skills haven't gone anywhere, and he's with a good group there that'll, you know, help him grow. He's in a good system there. So, no, you got to count for him. He's talented. He's had experience. He's played against really good competition. He's played in big games, and you know they'll try to find ways to get him the ball. So he'll be somebody we need to be aware of for sure.